Greetings, everyone. Nathan Nerdarchy here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. With me, I'm joining some nerds.
Nerdarchy Ryan.
And Nerdarchy Dave.
And join us for 3 ways to fix Princes of the Apocalypse.
Jump down in the description below where you can find Nerdarchy, the newsletter, game weekly tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy. But before we jump into this GM 911, there's a couple things you might want to know. First of all, the original GM 911 will be in the description. Also, if you have your own GM 911 or even just a viewer suggestion, we have a place for it. Nerdarchy@gmail.com. Send us there, GM 911 in the subject line. So Spoony Bard,
A bard full of spoons.
has a problem. He's a newish DM, and he is running Prince of Apocalypse for his players, but he's got a small party. There's only 3 of them.
They're all halflings and gnomes.
Okay, it could be worse.
Oh, they are fighters?
He's got a rogue. He's got a warlock, and he's got a bard, and he's having a problem keeping the combats interesting, without being fatal.
Right.
So I'm not familiar with the module itself. I haven't read it through, but that's not really relevant because I know that modules are generally written for a balanced party.
A core class party.
Yes.
And will we all agree that Balanced Party is going to have at least 4 people? So it's kind of running low.
Yeah, 4 to 5 players typically.
Yeah,
So-
I would say 4 to 6 players, and you're covering your tank role, your DPS role if we're going video game,
Your healer.
your healer role, and your crowd control.
Yeah, crowd control and buffing and stuff like that.
But for us old schoolers, you need your thief, you need your magic user, you need your fighter,
And you need your cleric.
and you need your
So they're missing a few of those roles. Thankfully, Bard has the healing power, so it's kind of...
If they took the
yeah.
spells, so
with the as far as the frequency of encounter, I know Horde of the Dragon Queen, when I played in it, it was really combat heavy. When it was combat, you were going like
whole hog.
yeah, whole hog combat for a while in a lot of different encounters. So if Prince of Apocalypse is anything like that, it's definitely rough having an underperforming due to
Undermanned
people.
party.
Yeah, undermanned party. Yeah.
More so with this adventure than any other, you're going to have to kind of read ahead and look at what your players are going to have to deal with. Do you have to tone down the combats? Is there a way to turn a combat into a role-playing
Yes.
Yeah.
encounter? Is there possible other solutions for getting past that part other than just beating the snot out of it?
Yeah, and also like maybe you denumber the numbers of things that you'd be facing, like as drastically as cutting them down by half, but at least taking out a quarter of what they'd be fighting for this very small, like really they should probably be functioning like a strike force, like a covert ops sort of situation, because you have like a face character and a stealthy, sneaky rogue. So that might be a way. I don't know what the bard's doing as far as that goes, but
As along the lines Ryan's talking about, I would say like if there's a secondary or sneaky way of getting into some place, like there's behind a tapestry there is a secret door that you could find the entrance to if you're outside somewhere, like point them towards that direction as the possibility of them getting in a covert or secret way.
Don't be afraid to write in other solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you read ahead and go, well, what are some other ways that they could possibly overcome this encounter other than just fighting their way through? Maybe you allow them to do some side quests. Maybe they take something and they kind of run with it, and you go with it so that they kind of levels them up a little bit. So they get a little more experience, and they become a little bit higher level than they should be for the adventure.
it balances out because their numbers are low.
They need to grind some XP on the side
Well,
before they can
I
join
mean,
the main quest.
Like really it comes to like action economy, like the faction with more actions to take is just going to outgun the ones with less or fewer numbers. So like I found that out running 3 PCs against a Tarrasque. Like the Tarrasque has so many its attack action is 5 attacks, so it outgunned and outmanned the 3 adventurers who only got an action apiece. So
Who knew?
yeah.
And you also had some orcs in that, right?
Yeah.
So all together there was 8 or 9 attack rolls.
Well, so I staggered it. Like the orcs really happened separately, and then
Okay.
the rest. But that being said, like anything that is going to get more actions is just going to sort of chip away at anything that doesn't. So even like enough kobolds could really hinder a 6-level party.
That's why I kind of go back to what I've said in the past, and in some ways running a pre-written adventure is actually harder than writing your own. See, this party would be perfect and awesome if you were homebrewing, because you would tailor your adventures according to this party and how they do things. Especially in a more sandbox world where, well, if they're not combat heavy, they're not going to look to enter combats, right? They'd look for another way. They'd use their other skills instead. And so that would be something to take into consideration. So you can kind of like dial back into the adventure and go, is there ways for them to use their other skills? So it is really tough. You're kind of in a tougher position with a smaller party and running something that's pre-scripted.
Yeah, like running modules is it gives you, the Dungeon Master, even more homework between sessions because you have a lot of problems to solve to tailor it to the individual tastes of your group.
Yeah, so again, like we said, the solutions are going to be, read ahead, adjust the combats, possibly give them some side quests to grind some XP on so they can kind of be over-leveled for the adventure. And the other one is write in different steps that they can use, or different, not steps,
different
solutions that they can use to overcome these obstacles.
Or be really open to whatever solutions they happen to present.
Well, that's too on the fly. Like if they come up with something interesting, go with it. Why not? And reward them for those choices.
Yeah, and it could be anywhere from a DC 10 to a DC 20 if it's reasonable that they do it. If it's pretty easy, DC 10. If it's a little harder, DC 15. There you go.
So with that, you can find some more solutions, I'm sure, down in the comments below. While you're there, like, share, and subscribe.
You can patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
Or you can find us over on Twitter.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.